A life of service to God and country indeed. My next guest is Uncle Sam. Just simply call him Sam and he'll be okay with it. He's a man of a lot of things. A former, man in charge of the Ghana Bar Association as president, also lecturer, former director of Rotary International. And Rotary is one organization that is absolutely on his heart. We're talking about his book, Sam, right here on the show. But of course, we talk about many other things. He speaks his mind, so he would talk about a lot of things as well. Uncle Sam, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mamadi.
Good to see you. I hope you're well.
I'm very well, by His grace.
We thank God for your life.
We thank them.
And I've got to ask you, I think that it's fair to ask you, since today is 5th of June, it's fair to ask, 5th June 1979, where were you? After all, you were regarded as an enemy of the revolution.
That is true. I'm always enemies of revolutions. I was here in Ghana. I was here in Ghana. You remember June 4th? Yeah. Yeah, something happened on the 4th of June. Something tragic happened on the 4th of June. The leaders of our country, who were military, were marched to the firing range at La and shot dead. It's one of the blots on the history of this country. I remember at that time the students were screaming and shouting, "Let the blood flow, let the blood flow." And I was asking myself, these young ones, do they understand what had happened? That people were sentenced and shot without a trial. And that everyone is presumed innocent.
But in your book, you indicate that there was some sort of trial, even though it wasn't open.
That is what is alleged. Up today, nobody can find a record. You cannot make a trial in secret, because in a proper trial, the person is supposed to have a defense counsel. He should have a lawyer of his choice. Accusations should be levied against him, and he should be given an opportunity to explain. If I ask you a question, for example, that Joy Amadume, the Navy commander, the allegation was that he borrowed 50 Ghana cedis from the bank to augment the savings in building a house at Tema. How does that constitute an offense? Death sentence. General Frifa had left office in 1969 when he peacefully handed over power. What did he do? What is the offense that he had committed for which he was collected from his village, brought to Accra, and sent to a firing squad and shot?
Reading the book, you saw this coming. You indeed advised him.
For one reason or the other, I don't know, because sometimes I keep warning myself that I have the spirit of prophecy. Because when he wanted to come back into politics, I remember very well it was in Professor Dubohane's house at Ableinkbe. And I just sat looking and I said, Akwasi, what is the highest office anybody can hold in this country? Is it not head of state? He said yes. And I said, you serve there, isn't it? So what's your problem? Why do you want to come back into politics? But then the next utterance that came was, I said, those who want your death are the ones pushing you into it. And if you read, thereafter, we had a meeting at the community, what's his name? No, it was not the community center. It was the art center. Art center. And then I went with Pa Willie, William Ofurata. In fact, I drove Pa Willie. Normally, when he's going to pray like that, I go together with him. And as soon as we stopped the car, I saw Giraffe standing at the entrance there. So I just left by, walked straight to him and said, Akwasi, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Don't you have friends in Lomé or Togo like that? Get out of here. Get out of the country. Get out.
But he obviously didn't, because it wasn't long after that.
He didn't.
You heard that he had been arrested.
And I cried. I wept.
So should we seriously be observing June 4?
Of course not. It's a stain on this country. And the fact that we have not even up till now trying to probe what happened, that in itself is also a stain on the history of this country.
Should we be probing?
We should. We should have set up a commission to go into that issue as a warning to any kind of young person who has this revolutionary zeal to think that he can change society by slaughtering people, because it's a slaughter.
Indeed, and I've opened to the book, page 181. You make a list of murders committed since December 31, 1981, for which no prosecutions have taken place. I found it interesting, really. Yeah. And this is murders that happen across the 10 regions of Ghana.
Exactly. Because you see what happened. Let me tell you a short history about that episode. I was in London. And part of the problem that arose, and my own, that time I was president of the Professional Bodies Association, and we had confronted the regime, but some of the things that was happening. Then I went to London, and Miss Aras Magashi, who is an EV, and the wife is Fanti, and the wife died in London. So we were going to the cemetery to bury him. And as we were going, I heard conversations going on among some of the people we were working with. And we were talking about these EVs are slaughtering their cans. So I was shocked. I said, hey, where did they get this from? Because I knew as a fact, in fact, there are people I know personally who were killed, who were collected from their houses and killed, who were EVs. So I said, this kind of thing can bring tribal warfare into this country. So when I came back, I said, I have a duty and a responsibility to try and find out all this killing that have been going on, because I knew it's a fact. So I will not name the person, but I commissioned someone.
But he was a police officer.
He was a police officer.
From reading the book.
Yeah, he was a police officer, but I will never name him. And I said, senior police officer. So I say, look, there is something going on which is dangerous for the country. There's going to be tribal warfare in this society. So please help me. Because I am aware that many, many people have been killed from virtually all the tribes in the country. So help me. So this is the result of the work that he did. And what I did was I kept this as a secret. I never told my colleagues, because they would have leaked the information, and that would have been the end of it.
I wonder what you want us to do with this list.
I just want it to be on record, because you see, what I realize is that Ghanaians don't read history, and they don't even care about history, because all the politicians, you see them, they make utterances which have no bearing at all on what has happened in our society. If they are, sometimes they'll be more circumspect and cautious on what they say. And so history is important. And indeed, part of the reason for writing the book was exactly that. Because I can tell you that even my uncle, Pa William Ofurata, was urging me to write. Even though I realized that he, who has been involved in more history than I, have not written anything. Yeah. But everybody was saying that you have seen so much, you've been involved in so much. Yeah. Why don't you write it? And I say, yes, I will. And God did a miracle by making me ill where I couldn't move. So because I was one place,
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to do what
That
I
was
have
the
done.
only way.
That is so.
God works in
God wears his
mysterious ways.
His wonders to perform. The thing he does is just amazing.
Yeah.
And that is why I will worship him.
We're blessed,
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
that you put together this. But you were arrested in 1985 and then interrogated. And this is from 219221. And I had to note down because I didn't want to miss a lot of things, even though there's so many things in this book. An exchange when one of the people who were questioning you got my attention when you were in the BNI custody. And I just want to maybe go to 221 and just... Okay. So this is Uncle Sam, who had been arrested. Let me just read it. The next day, I was supposed to go to the 37 military hospital for tests. However, I was informed that I was going to be interrogated and could not go to the hospital. I had to face a group of young men in a room within the BNI offices. Some of the questions they asked were, this is a BNI person. Where have you been since December 31, 1981? And here's Uncle Sam. I have made trips to the United States and the United Kingdom. The BNI officer asked again, do you have friends abroad? And here's Uncle Sam. That is a silly question. I'm a Rotarian and I have friends everywhere in the world. BNI. Do you have friends in America? And here's Uncle Sam. I just told you I have friends everywhere. And I was wondering, you had the guts to... this was BNI we're talking about.
Well, BNI, well, some people, they are terrorist organizations, they'll go and terrorize you. But I'm the last person anybody can terrorize. Because, so far as I'm concerned, I believe that when my time has come to die, I will die. If it has not come, it has not come. And I'm not afraid of anybody. That's the way I feel. And I told them exactly that.
Can we just...
They were little kids.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Indeed, I think you asked, you said something like that to one of them.
Yeah. I said, you are kids. I said, look, you people, I left for 56 to study in England. You were not born.
I wanted to take you forward to the moment even before you were taken to the cell. You said you were in your office, an office that you've been occupying ever since for so many years. Mobile house then, now the total house. Yeah. Same building that you've been occupying. Building. And then you do say in the book that you were interviewing people for the Rotary in Sawam project.
That's right. That was an agricultural project.
Yeah, that was when the people came
the BNI
to arrest you.
That is so.
First of all, does this project still exist?
No, the project was completed.
Okay.
Yes, it was an agricultural project.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's linked to finally when you were taken to the Akuse prisons.
Yes.
Because just before you were released, you knew it was coming because apparently it was linked to this project.
Yes, the project was in the formation. I was interviewing the experts who are going to help to teach the young ones who are school leavers, because the concept was that young people leave school, they don't have anything to do. And we thought that this project, in fact, was the brainchild of Reverend Dr. Paul Finn, who is the head of the Lutheran Church. It was his concept, and he wanted to do something like that. We said, okay, Rotary will help him to fund it. And so we were interviewing the teachers who are going to teach the young ones, so that when they acquire the skills of animal rearing and farming, they will go on their own. In fact, we even give them rabbits, so that they can go and rear the rabbit and earn a living for themselves. And so the project was completed.
And they didn't want to give you credit, so they kept you in prison.
Exactly, because at that time what they wanted to do was that the revolution is the revolution. That was the thing. Nobody else has any importance or should have any kind of a position of importance. And so the day that I heard on the radio that Justice Annan had opened the project, I just screamed and I said, I'm going home. People say, how? I said, that was a project they didn't want me to take credit for. That's why they went and locked me up.
Yeah. But it was a good thing you were sent to the BNI cells, because you also had an encounter. That's where you say in the book you were born again.
Yes, yes. Do you know there's always a silver lining on everything? I always tell people that out of evil comes good. I say this is my attitude in life. That's why I don't bear grudge. If I tell people now that Jerry Rollins is my friend, when I see him, I shake hands with him, and people say, how? I say, because I've forgiven him. I said, I've forgiven him.
He put you into prison twice.
Yeah, he put me into prison twice.
You didn't have access to your passports.
They took my passport, and for 6 years thereafter, I could not even travel. My progress in Rotary was retarded by virtue of that. But God knows better than everybody else that if he had not arrested me and locked me up, Christ would not have revealed himself to me. And you know the interesting part? I was telling one of your colleagues the other day about 4th September. And I said 4 and 9. Yeah. That I was born on the 4th of September. I arrived in England on the 4th of September. On the 4th of September, I had an encounter with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Can we talk about the revelation in a bit? Because you say all the lies that you had told to your wife,
yes.
Priscilla.
Yes. It was, well, that time we did not have your videos and the rest like that.
Yeah.
But there's something we call kaleidoscope. You won't know what it is, but what it is that you have the picture frames, and then you just roll them one after the other. That's called kaleidoscope.
Okay.
Now, of course, you have video. So it can still be said it's like a video play, where you sit down, and then somebody is actually reeling your whole life back to you. And sometimes it's shocking, because what you did at the time you thought was right, all of a sudden you begin to appreciate that. That wasn't what you asked.
Was it in a sleep though?
No, wide awake. Wide awake. I was reading the Bible because I didn't have any other book I'm allowed to read. And I was all alone, just sitting down there in the cell. And then all this play was going on, revealing to me all the things that I'd done. Then I started weeping. I'm sorry. And then like a voice come and say, you are forgiven.
And that was when you also prayed for Jerry Rollins.
Exactly, because when it all happened and say you are forgiven, then you can see that instead of anguish, there's joy that comes into you. Instead of the hatred for the person who had locked me up with no cause, no justification, no explanation, here I am, and I said, I wish he would experience the joy that I was experiencing. So I prayed for him. And I've been praying for him since then.
Well, what do you ask God to do?
No, love him. God should love him, and God should reveal himself to him. That he should experience Jesus and experience the peace that comes from that relationship.
You meet him once in a long while.
Yes.
Have you ever asked him what you did to
No, why should I ask him? Because if I ask him, it means I'm feeling the pain. But when the pain has gone, what was the basis of me raising an issue with him? To talk about, why did you lock me up? No. In fact, I remember he was even telling my brother that I had a rough time. My older brother. We met at the British High Commission.
Is it Raymond?
Raymond, yes.
Raymond, you talk so much about him.
That's my big brother. Unfortunately, you know he's dead.
Yeah.
Yes. So he says, your brother, he really had a rough time, eh? So when my brother told me, I laughed. I said, well, that's what he thinks.
It's interesting.
Yes.
But this also had an effect on your family.
Yes, of course.
Because you had children. And you talk about Kweku.
Yeah.
Your first child.
Yes.
Child.
Yes, no, my first son.
Your first son.
Yeah.
Okay. Who had to suffer because of your absence?
Course. Yeah. I mean, he has a lot of trauma in school that I wasn't even sure whether he was going to make it. But
he did. He turned out really good.
That's exactly the grace that I'm talking about. I said, if you see the trauma that the children went through, and to see that all of them have had good education, that even my last born, Adam has got PhD in chemistry. Now he's a lawyer qualified in America, Chicago, and qualified also in Ghana.
Yeah.
Isn't that grace?
And you say he took the long way.
The long way. I told him, I said, you are the most expensive child I ever had. And he laughed. He says, I'm Joseph.
Let me take us to page 275 in this book, where you talk about politics make people irrational.
Yeah.
257. You've experienced, I mean, you've been there, you've done it.
I've been in it.
How have you been able to be rational in the face of all the things that come with politics?
Well, let's put it this way. You have to know the perspective of what you actually want to do. Because there are many who go into politics because they want to be famous. There are many who go to politics because they think it's an avenue for to make money. There are some of us who went to politics because we want to be instruments for change. And that makes a difference. If you go to politics because you want to be an instrument for change, then you are striving to say there are wrongs in society that can be corrected. These days, my Crife friends would think that, okay, let's pray. And I warn them and I say, your prayer alone doesn't solve the problem. That you are God's instrument. Work with God to bring about the change. And my favorite passage one of my favorite passages, not the favorite passage,
okay,
is the book of Esther. And I remember Mordecai telling Esther, you may have come to such a royal position for such a time like this. Because there she was, the whole Jewish race was sentenced to be annihilated. Not only in Persia, the whole of the empire. And his cousin said, you may have come to such a royal position for such a time like this. Because her intervention will bring an end to that plan. And that is exactly what happened. So these days, I tell myself and I tell other people, I say, it does not matter the work you are asked to do. Don't say, this is for big men. Don't say, I am only a driver. I'm only a sweeper. I'm only a program interviewer. I said, no. Every position you are in, God may have put you in such a position for such a time like this. So this is what politics should be. And this is my advice to my colleagues, my children who are in parliament now, to appreciate that God may have put them into those positions. Those of them who are ministers, I am telling them that God may have put you into such a position for such a time like this. He didn't put you there to go and make money. He put you there to bring about change. And when I'm talking about change, I mean change in the way we think, the way we behave, the way we relate, an appreciation that there are poor and needy in our society, that there are people who cannot get even one meal a day, that there are many who don't have a place even to put their head to sleep, that there are many who have brains but cannot go to school because the facilities have not been made available to them. There are many who are sick and needed to be cured. They don't have the money to go to the hospital. There are doctors who are there who can cure, but they also say if you don't pay, we won't look after you. And yet you can save a human being. This is my charge.
Let me go back to 130. That's the page, still in Uncle Sam's book. And every page is useful, I tell you. This one says, I have always thought that if I were a ruler, my best friends would be my harshest critics. I would invite them to a round table and let them tell me exactly what they thought of my plans. And then you quote a proverb in there. Leaders today, will they tolerate that?
Yeah. Well, they should learn. They should learn. Your political opponent is not your enemy. What I have seen going on where people are fist-cuffs and people go and sit down and concord lies to tarnish the image of their political opponent. They should forget that there is Judgment Day. People forget that. I said there is Judgment Day. You will be judged for all that. And there are no excuses. In fact, there's not even a counsel for you to hire to defend you. So the important thing for us to begin to appreciate is that merely because somebody thinks differently from you, that does not make that person your enemy. Listen to him or her. From the discourse, you may find out that you are both wrong, or that you are right, he is wrong, or that you are wrong and he is right. Or sometimes I even say that the two of you can even disagree agreeably.
You can disagree agreeably.
That's right.
You worked in parliaments and
I
you talk fondly about the things that you did in parliament. You were once chairman of the Public Accounts Committee.
That's right.
And reading that, I wonder, the way the committee does its work today, is that what it was meant to?
Well, sometimes you can say yes, you can also say no. I think it's good because now they are using the media, which I think is very useful, because then they are highlighting the thing so that the public also sees what they are doing. But it's the follow-up that is always the problem.
Is that the job of the committee?
Yes. They, of course, present their report to the House. But then the House should have had an implementing committee that can ensure. Because otherwise, we've been hearing so much about this corrupt situation that arose, and this public servant has embezzled so much money has not been accounted for, and then thereafter we don't hear anything again. But it would have been important for us to be receiving reports as to what happens to the report. Have the monies been retrieved? Because now it's seen that people can steal government money, and they are rolling before the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament is highlighted, and thereafter they are enjoying the booty. Well, that's not what it is meant to be. We should put a machinery in place. So I said, we should have a tracing order, meaning that if you've taken the money, we try and find out where the money went. If you build a house with it, we confiscate the house. If you put it into your wife's account or somebody else's account, we trace the person, we ask that person to spit it out, if you like to put it that way, a little crude. If we are doing that, I'm sure there will be less of this thing happening in society. Because I can tell you, it has assumed gargantuan proportions. That now it's like every day, 4-point-something million is gone. So and so billion have been shared. And yet, I can tell you, small portions of that money can provide equipment for saving lives. Small portion of that money can be a classroom for several schools so that children can go to school. Small portion of that money can provide scholarship for the brainy ones to go up and become something special for the country.
I want to stay in Parliament because a recent episode that had to do with the Boku Central MP, reading something that you've written reminded me of that episode where you made some corruption allegations and you simply refused to apologize.
Yes.
In fact, you walked out of Parliament, even though the newspaper headlines the following day didn't point out exactly that.
No, they got it wrong because they got it wrong. Because they did not understand the procedure and the processes of Parliament. I did not like the process of the investigation that was going on. Because, I mean, there is corruption. Sometimes it's not always that you actually have concrete facts, to support it.
Yeah.
But perhaps at that time, and our youthful exuberance, you know. Sometimes you take a stand on issues. But sometimes some issue which can be resolved, they also look at it as a way of trying to get rid of to silence the most vociferous ones in Parliament. So that is what I felt. I felt at the time. I felt that it was just deliberate attempt to try and silence me because I was very critical of what was...
and to think we made a big deal out of Mr. Ayariga's episode.
Well, it is not that they make a complete Ayariga. You see, there's a difference between the two. Mine was just a blatant statement of corruption. He was specific. Specific. He alleged that the candidate who was being vetted has provided money to the chairman of the committee to distribute among themselves. It's specific. Now, if you make a specific allegation of that nature, of course, you have to produce the evidence to support it. As an outsider, I was looking at the matter and I was asking myself, I said, Ajako, how could he be so dumb? Or could the chairman of the committee, who is a lawyer, can he be so dumb? You have an absolute majority in Parliament. So no matter what the opposition does, your appointment will be approved in any case. So why would you go and give money to the members to support you? It makes no sense whatsoever to me.
Yeah.
So that is what makes that matter more serious. For that kind of allegation to be made in the first place.
Yeah. Also significance, and it's sad that we have to end this conversation in about 5 minutes, but also significant to mention, is where you took the Ghanaian Times newspaper editor on.
Yes.
You won a case,
yeah.
And just some few days after, the judge
They sacked the judge because of me. They sacked the judge. It just shows part of the revolution that we are talking about. This is why I say...
this was Justice K.A.
Ansachum. This is why I told you that I dislike military regimes and I will dislike them until the day I go to the grave. Because they have no sense of justice. How do you sack a judge for giving judgment? And the question is that if you disagree with the judgment, you would have appealed. And in that case, the allegation they were making, we brought the tape. The students brought the tape recording of my address to the students at UST and played it in the court.
So let me just, quickly just, give a summary. So this was a speech that Uncle Sam had delivered, and then the newspaper misreported the facts. And then he wrote, because usually you'd write a rejoinder, but they simply refused to consider what you had written.
Exactly.
So you took them on.
I asked them to withdraw and apologize, and they refused, and I sued them.
Yeah.
And then they locked me up, and then I came back and I continued the case. And then somebody said, oh, if you don't withdraw, they will lock you up. And I said, you can send me there as many times as you choose, but truth must be established in the court of justice.
Yeah. Two significant things that I've also got to mention, because you were also one time in charge of the Togo border. You were supposed to be
chairman of the Border Demarcation Commission.
Exactly. The kind of border we have today, is that what you envisaged then?
Well, no, we didn't finish the work. We didn't finish the work. We didn't finish the work because when they locked me up, they removed me as chairman. And then thereafter, I think they messed up because the new person you appointed will not know what we have done. I am the institutional memory. And so the border should have been demarcated all the way to the sea. We should have had, as we recommended, 100 feet both sides, no structures, just plant trees. Now I can tell you people are sleeping in their bedroom and their head is in Togo and their feet is in Ghana. And then my other worry is the fact that now they know that there are oil in the Volta Basin. Now, there's the same dispute we are having with Cote d'Ivoire might arise in relation to Ghana because we did not complete the demarcation and sign the treaty upon it.
It's a shame.
That is a shame because this is we do things half-half in Ghana.
You also chaired the May 9 disaster, the committee that the president then Kufuor set up.
That is
and you
correct.
say even the ministry can't trace the reports that
I was
you
shocked
issue.
later when I was told that the ministry could not trace the report, that there were certain things going on. The people came asking me, where is the report? So I gave a copy of the report, and I said, but these things, I made several copies, 100 copies that we gave to the president, presented to the president. And by law, copies should have been in the archives, copies should have been with the ministry, copies should have been with all the various institutions. What has happened? So this again makes me feel sad about Ghana and the way we administer the country.
Now you are part of a group of people who give good counsel to the president. How is he? I mean, what kind of president is he?
Well, we've not had a face-to-face encounter with him as yet. But if you ask him what kind of president he is, he's my friend. I have known him since he started his law practice. In fact, when he was a student, I knew him at Lagos before he went to study law, before he came back, practiced with me. And I was actually at the bar administration with him. When I was president of the regional bar, he was my vice. So if you're asking me about him, I can tell you that it's somebody I know very well. His integrity is impeccable and very hardworking. So I have every confidence in him.
Will he deliver change as he promised?
He promised it, and I'm sure he will. And if he is not doing it, some of us will prompt him to make sure that he brings about the change that we all desire.
Public prompting?
Well, no, I cannot do that one. I'm supposed to sit with him in council, not public.
Yeah. There's been, things have come up in Ghana today with the killing of the, military captain, a very unfortunate incident. But there's also been the storming of some people in the Kumasi courts. That case, you would know the term better. Nolly prosequa, that seemed to be the way that we're going. There's also the J.B. Danko Edu murder that some people are not super confident about how that case will be dealt with. If you box all these things that are happening today, is it democracy? Is it still democracy? How would you describe it?
Well, democracy is not mathematics. Democracy is relationship between people. Democracy is also attitude of mind. It's an appreciating that there are factions, there are differences in people with political agenda, opinions, and also there must be cordiality in the way we talk about issues, the way we resolve issues. There is also the essence of the judiciary being an independent institution, that if the issues come before it, decisions are taken. But there is also the machinery itself, like the police. You see, sometimes cases go to the court and judgment is given and we disagree with the judge. But we don't appreciate that sometimes the issues are not properly presented at the court, which means the police themselves did not do their investigations properly. And so my prayer now is that we should take a holistic attitude, because the police also have that tendency. If you criticize them, they get mad. And I say people should be tolerant to criticism. In our adage, we say that if you are cutting a path in the forest, it's only the person who is behind you that will know that the path is not straight.
Yeah.
And you say, move left. No, move right.
Yeah.
And so when you hear someone telling you, move left, move right, don't get angry and mad with the person. Thank him and bring about the change.
Yeah. I can't let you go without asking about the human rights lawyer, Francis Xavier. I mean, he's taken on a lot of cases. He's famous for dealing with cases that we know that a lot of lawyers would not handle. And now he's been slapped with this ban. Is it not too harsh?
Well, unfortunately for you, I will not answer your question for the simple reason that I was the panel that convicted him. I was part of the panel that convicted him. And that panel also included the chairperson of that panel is the incoming Chief Justice. So it is not a mean thing And many of you also do not understand, and the many lawyers do not understand when we tell them that they should read what is happening in other jurisdictions about ethics and behavior of professionals. The professionals are put in a unique position whereby you can manipulate innocent people. And that if we are not harsh and tough in disciplining them, then what we are doing is a floodgate. Everybody can do what you like. First of all, but he agreed to pay this money to me. We agreed, this is a contract we signed. We said the contract you signed is irrelevant. The contract is that, was I in accord with the code of ethics? Was in accord with the scale of fees that the bar has laid down? This is the whole issue. So unfortunately, I cannot discuss that matter with you. But I'm asking, using the platform to urge the lawyers, because they come to the committee. And you know something funny? He was my student. And there are many of them who are my students. And they come daily before the committee. And I look at their face and I say, was that what I taught you?
It means that you have a lot of disciplinary issues that you're dealing with.
Lots of them. Loads of them.
Amazing.
And now you must go to the website, because now we want them, as soon as you come, you are on the website.
Oh.
So you cannot do it in secret.
So that's the General Legal Counsel's website?
Yes.
Is that?
That's a disciplinary committee website. So whatever you do, we are going to tell the public. Because lawyers are hiding behind this thing, cheating and robbing and doing all manner of things, disgraceful things, which bring the profession into disrepute.
Uncle Sam, I wish I could have you for 3 hours, honestly. There's a lot more in this book, and I'll urge it's available in every bookstore. Make sure you get it. It's simply Sam. That's it. And be inspired. I will catch up with you in the office, because I want to look at the space where you've been for all these years.
Maybe
you're for over 50 years.
You are welcome. You come over and we can have a chat.
And I want to talk to you also about Priscilla, your dear wife.
All right. When you come, we will talk about her.
Thank
and
you.
You might even meet her.
Thank you. That's Uncle Sam. Stay with us.